Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Anne Marie from Living Love Consciously. I hope you're doing really well. This, as usual, I do not know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to try to keep it positive because it's been a rough week. I feel like every time I get on here, I'm like, it's been a rough week, but it has. If for those of you who are not having a rough week, leave it in the comments and let me know how amazing your week is, because my week, my month, my year has been rough. The last decade has been rough. All right, with the exception of having my son, which has been amazing. Anyway, so I think I'm going to keep this message extremely light and just say, when you're going through something rough, just try to keep it light as possible. Try to figure out things that make you laugh, that keep you in an upbeat mood. So what I've done is try to listen to comedy, try not to take things so seriously, try to have jokes whenever possible, crack laughs with my colleagues, and just keep it light. And if I do vent, I try to vent in my notebook, in my journal, and I try to manage my negative thoughts because they can happen. And those negative thoughts for me tend to put me in a victim mentality where I feel super shitty for myself, and then I start doing the why me. And don't get me wrong, there's aspects of it that's legitimate, but whether or not it's legitimate is irrelevant, because if it keeps you in a space where you're being so hard on yourself that you forget who you are, then it becomes problematic, right? Like, you're so hard on yourself, you forget that you forget the aspects of yourself or what's going on in your life that's amazing. Like, you're breathing, right? You have a roof over your head. You have people that love and care about you, and if you don't, you can find it with the internet. It's super easy to connect to people and find people who want to support you. And your family members, your children, if you have your pet, there is something out there that's going to uplift you, and you just try to connect with it and stay with it. And for me, the reason my week has been rough with the woe me and all that is just, I think I talked about it in my last video, and I think I called it mourning the person you thought you were going to be, mourning the life you thought you were going to have. And that kind of transitioned into my following week. I did go through the mourning process and I did release it, but I just ended up going into a really hard week where I felt burned out, and I can continue to bring that up, but at work I'm burned out. In my personal life, it just transitions into being burned out because there's never a moment of reprieve for me. And I'm not blaming anybody, and I'm not saying woe me. It's just you make decisions in life and they kind of happen. I just blew my hair out, and as I'm talking to you, I see it reverting back to you know what, but it's fine. I'm fine with it. I'll braid it out, and hopefully that'll retain some of the stretched hair because it's much easier to manage. Anyway, I went on a tangent, but it's just easier. It's just I lost my train of thought, but I think what I was saying is that life just becomes challenging when things just keep stacking up and you don't find a sense of relief or reprieve, and you have to make that for yourself. And for me, it was just making sure I have moments to take care of my hair, take a shower, blow dry my hair, wash my hair, make sure that I go get medication for myself to help with the cold that I think I'm getting, doing things that help me, making sure that I take care of my skin, making sure that I take care of little things like doing my nails and cutting my nails. I don't really do my nails. I just cut them and make sure that they look nice, because summer is coming eventually, right? So just doing things that make me happy. I love dressing up, but I haven't had a chance to do that. I only like dressing up when I feel like it. Wearing really nice perfume. I've had some, and then the other day I found out at work that perfume does expire. I don't know about that because I grew up in a generation where perfume does not expire. So I'm still wearing my perfume. I'm not throwing it out. Anyway, so wearing perfume that makes me feel pretty, that makes me smell nice and things like that. Doing little things like that. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be all these big things, but little things that just help you take it one step at a time, take it day by day. Coloring with my son, because, you know, I love art. Not that I'm going to museums all the time, because I just don't have time and I just don't really care to go to museums all the time. I know as an artist, that was like something where my art professor would be like, you have to go to museums and see what other artists are doing. And I used to think like, why? But I did it because it just felt like I had to. When people were having all these like very philosophical, super smart conversations about art, and I wanted to fit in, and but I never retained anything, so it didn't really matter. It was just like I was just sitting there. But that is my life. My life is just listening to other people talk about how amazing their lives is, and that's fine. No judgment, because everybody, you know, no judgment. But you know, things like that. So doing things that make you happy and that uplift your heart. So that's what works for me, and that's what I've been doing. So if you find yourself in a charging environment, or in a challenging environment, which what I meant to say, but charging could work too, because that means charging means like there's an uptick of energy and it could be chaotic, but charging could also mean like you're charged, you're ready to take it on. So if you find yourself in that environment, take it slow, take a moment and allow yourself to breathe through the process. Start to connect with things that keep your spirits uplifted, and work through the negative thought processes by either writing them down. That's another thing that works really well for me, writing the thought processes down, and then saying, I reject this idea because that's not me. I reject this concept because it's not me. I reject this, and that. I do not align with this idea of myself or my future, things like that. And maybe it's psychological, you know, nonsense, but it helps me to just stay in a mood where I don't want to be nasty to the people around me. I don't want to be mean to my son. I don't want to take out my personal frustrations as a human being out on him, because he's so brand new. He's so awesome. He has no idea about anything, and I want him to stay that way as long as possible. So that is what I dealt with this week in Living Love Consciously. I don't have any anecdotes about like talking to people, because I've just really I've been really tired, to be quite honest with you. And I was like just not understanding why I was so tired with regards to like work, feeling like there's always more to do, there's always something to do, there's never, like I mentioned before, any reprieve. And it's frustrating, because then I start to ask myself, am I one of those people? Because, I can give you an anecdote, right? I go on, not an anecdote, whatever. I can give you a story where I go on the internet and the first thing I get is like, why your life sucks. Or like one of these like spiritual things. It's like, why are you having trouble in your life? Or why is money not flowing into your life? And then you click on it and you listen for a little bit, and it's just like, you're the problem. You don't have the mindset. You live in a scarcity mindset. You, it's all your fault. Everything is your fault. And no one wants to hear that. I'm sorry. No one wants to hear that. And it's not always true. I don't know. Maybe there's a higher spiritual realm where these concepts are true. Like maybe when I die and I have my life review, because I told you I watch a lot of near-death experiences, and people have life. Most people, like I think maybe 60 to 70% of the people who have NDEs that I've watched have had life reviews. And, you know, maybe when I do, I'll be like, I did make this decision. But I used to think like that, and I don't think like that anymore. I just think there are some bad actors on earth who are just fucking it up for the rest of us. It's just, that's what I think now. And we all are just kind of trying to figure out how to release our bonds from these bad actors. That's what I think now. And maybe in a few years I'll change my idea about that. I'll change my thoughts about that. But right now that's what I think, because I refuse to think that I chose some of the things that have happened to me, because it's absolutely ridiculous. Why as a soul would I need to experience that? It does not make any sense. unless it is like a fucked up world everywhere, and then we're just learning how to be harder in prison. Not that I think this is a prison planet, but some of the lessons I've learned in my life, it's just like, I don't know if that was necessary for me to evolve as a soul on earth. It just seems kind of up and kind of unnecessary. So every time I hear a quote unquote spiritual person say that, I want to kick them in the face. And I used to be one of those. So if you go back to maybe some of my older videos, you might want to kick me in my face, because I used to say nonsense like that because I believed it. Because I think sometimes when you have like trauma that happens to you, you have to have a reason, because so your brain can reconcile it, so you can resolve it, and you can like release that emotional trauma. I think your brain finds, like, at least my brain likes to find solutions, and I can kind of find a reasoning for almost anything. And that's not always good, because it doesn't allow accountability for bad actors. It's just like, and that's what I feel is totally annoying about the spiritual community, quote unquote new age, whatever it is that there's no accountability for bad actors. It's just like you chose it, you did it, you chose it, and you did it. So it's just like, no, I didn't. This does not make sense. So that's just me trying to live my life the best that I can, living love consciously. So, and yeah, there are definitely people that I like are in my life. I'm like, oh, you're teaching me something. Maybe how to set boundaries. Maybe I'm terrible at setting boundaries because I just keep saying, okay, sure, I'll do it, no problem. And then sometimes it's like you don't have the opportunity to set boundaries because you got to pay bills. You just got to do what you got to do. Like, what are you gonna tell your boss? No, like, I'm setting this boundary. This is not. And then, you know what? I go back, because the newer generation, they are not putting up with that. They do not. They will quit. They will be out. They will just be like, no. So there is an opportunity to do that. My generation was not taught that. So I'm still learning the process of setting boundaries. And in my life, I've set boundaries with like my friends. Like, if I didn't want to go to dinner, I just didn't go. If I was too tired to do something, I just didn't do it because I was too tired to do it, and I didn't care if my friends were upset with me. I cared, but not enough to like all of a sudden do it. And then sometimes I would just do it to appease them, to keep them as friends because I love them, and I know I like just never wanted to do anything. Also, I just sometimes didn't have the money to do things that they wanted to do. So it goes into a whole thing about setting, boundaries. There's like different levels of it. But this newer generation, they are not putting up with that stuff. Most of them have a plan. They know they're leaving, or they are like, no, I'm not doing this. And they'll sit in your face, yeah, sure. And then like 2 weeks later, you'll get their notice. You're like, what happened? I thought we had a conversation and everything was good. They are not like that. And then I talked to some of my friends or my colleagues. I consider her a friend. She's like a couple of years older than me, and she did not set boundaries, but she shocked everybody when she just like quit. So everybody gets to their tipping point where they're like, no, I'm not putting up with this. And I think the newer generation, their tipping point is sooner, because they just haven't had to deal with challenges in the way where, you got to do what you got to do. It's more like, oh yeah, I have options in life. I think they've had more options, so they've been able to set boundaries earlier in their life, which is great, and I commend them for doing it. I envy them for doing it, to be quite honest with you. And so if you're someone younger, I envy you. You do you, but you still, there's hard work. Like, I don't want to use the term hard work, because that also seems kind of, I'm not sure if it's negative. I'm not sure about the concept of hard work, but there needs to be work that goes into something, like, right? If you're trying to plant food, get food for yourself, there has to be a level of work. Somebody's putting the work into making your food for you. So I think there has to be a level of work that goes into things. And when I see things like, oh, you don't have to work hard, just get paid to exist. This is a new thing that I've been seeing in the spiritual new age stuff that's been coming up on my feed, and I don't know why it's coming up on my feed, but it has. Maybe because I'm just exhausted, and it's like, ooh, I'm gonna give you an easy way out. You don't have to do anything. You can just get paid to exist. I would love that, to be quite honest with you. Like trees get paid to exist, right? Trees get oxygen from trees give us oxygen. We give them carbon dioxide. So kind of, they get paid to exist. Anyway, I'm gonna close this message. I hope you got some laughter out of it, and I hope it finds you well. Again, this is Anne-Marie from Living Love Consciously. Leave me a comment. Let me know some amazing things that have been going on in your life, and uplift me. Tell me how amazing your life is, and like real stuff, not like social media fake stuff. All right, take care of yourself. Until next time, see you later. Bye.